And we are live. Hello and welcome to the Comic Hall from the AmadoraBD Comics Festival. I showed a little video yesterday. Me and Manda Comics were at Amadora near Lisbon in Portugal for the return of the Comics Festival, which we didn't have last year except in internet version, so it doesn't really count. But today, yesterday, it's still going on today, of course, but I couldn't go there. I was working. Yesterday, I got to meet a ton of people that I hadn't seen in over a year. It was also nice to finally meet Gus Man the Comics face to face. We've only known each other from the internet, although we live about 1.5 hours from each other via freeway. But since Gus doesn't get out of the house much, especially to come to the Lisbon metropolitan area, because he doesn't live near the capital, it was a great chance to finally be with him and talk about comics and other stuff. I also hadn't bought a new comic in over a year, mostly because of financial reasons. But now that I have a new job, I can finally go back to not being able to find a place to put all the new comics I buy. I really have to think about getting rid of some stuff, even though I have a hard time picking, I like this, I like this, I like this. I'm not going to get rid of this, even though I haven't read it in 20 years. And we have visitors. Hi, Tim. Okay, you're working in the house. Every once in a while, I'm afraid you're going to have to turn your head because I'm going to show the books. And I think that's what I'm going to start doing now, because I want to keep this short and sweet. In about 45 minutes, there's going to be a show that I want to watch on Laras's channel. In fact, you are going to be there, aren't you, Crack? And well, just because you're here, I have the perfect book to start. Portuguese edition, Spirits of the Dead by Richard Corbin, here with Edgar Allan Poe on the cover. I didn't even take it out of the plastic yet. Everything was still in the sacks in my backpack, and so I didn't take anything out of the plastic bags. So this is thick. I'm glad they finally put out some Richard Corbin here. The last time we had Corbin in Portuguese was over a decade ago when they published the Cage miniseries. I think it's been reprinted since then, a few years ago. But now this is real Corbin, the kind of stuff that you have a hard time finding, because all the Richard Corbin fans remain Richard Corbin fans until they die. And he has a very interesting style that I was always interested in, even if I grew up reading superhero comics. Another interesting thing that I picked up, I was not expecting to find this. This looks like a novel, but it isn't. The Ring of the Nibelung. It is the Brazilian edition of the original graphic novel, serialized as a mini series by Roy Thomas and Gil Kane. It is the size of a novel, and it is published in black and white, which I think actually makes it look better. You can pay more attention to Gil Kane's details and storytelling this way. It's probably one of the best adaptations that Roy Thomas did of any literary device. This is, of course, based on Richard Wagner's opera. So this must be Sigurd. Another thing that I've been wanting to buy for a few years, I finally got around to it. I'm not very familiarized with German comics, but a small press publisher in Portugal. Well, they're all small press publishers in a certain way, but these ones are specialized in more alternative comics. This one made by German author Reinhard Kleist, The Boxer, which tells the story of boxer Harry Heft, who after being a prisoner in Auschwitz became a legendary boxer in the United States. Here's some of the art. Let me try and get this close, because the details are small, but they are there. And this being fairly large, over almost 180 pages. Here you get some fighting scenes. Vinny C is also here. How you doing, man? Now let's show some Portuguese authors. Mindex, a science fiction story created by writer Fernando Dordil. He says this is his last graphic novel, that he won't work on them anymore. But I'm not sure that's true. Maybe he'll take a break. Maybe he'll come back in a decade or so, because he does some pretty interesting stories. He came up with some graphic novels that more writer focused, which was something that was pretty rare in Portugal until a couple of decades ago. The art is by Pedro Cruz. Not exactly the type of style you'd associate with science fiction or adventure. But very cinematic influence. Also expanded my Kirby library. Finally got around to buying the Eternals trade paperback. So everything from the Kirby stories is here. I also have the Eternals saga that was published in Thor when the Eternals were inserted into the Marvel Universe against Kirby's wishes. Now I only need to buy the Peter B. Gillis miniseries from the 80s, and then I'll pretty much have read all the interesting Eternals stories. Something else here. The best Portuguese superhero ever. Flying Man by José Pedro Carneiro, and with art by cartoonist Álvaro. The Flying Man, the story of a man who gains the power of flight, and he uses it to beat traffic. Because of course, what would you do if you had the power of flight? You would not run around and looking for criminals to beat up. You use it to beat traffic. He can also talk to a dog, and he's the only one who can talk to this dog, which means people think he's crazy. Not for flying. People actually don't have a problem with him flying, unless it's annoying. But when he's talking to the dog, they think he's nuts. Of course, he does try to be a superhero, and it's not a good idea. I mean, he almost ran over Santa Claus. What was he thinking? Can we get the Portugal books in English? That depends on the books. There are a few. Kingpin Books put out English versions of a few of his books. These ones are not published in English. Besides, the jokes are very Portuguese. I'm not sure they translate that well. Pulp by Ed Brubaker and Sean Phillips. This is the Portuguese edition, which came out earlier in the year. Only got around to buying it. It's the publisher has the rights to a bunch of Brubaker material. They have a Brubaker library. I have a few of those books. They have Fade Out. They have Criminal. What else? A few other books. And something else interesting that was there that my comic shop have there lying around. The reprint of Captain America's Bicentennial Battles, now with a proper cover and spine as it deserves, so you can put it in your personal library and show it off to friends when they're in your living room. Okay, that's the first pile. We have another pile here. Let's get these out of the way. Okay, second pile. More Portuguese books. The Man from Nowhere, Part 1. Even though it's thick, there's going to be a Part 2. Hopefully it'll come out in less than 2 years, because the writer and the artist said they started working on this in 2018 and it only came out this week. It's a story of lost people and how being lost can lead you to get into adventures against your wishes. They decided to let the story breathe. So they have larger panels, even when the stories don't have any action. Even for showing butterflies. Let's get some European comics up in here. So their publisher Ala dos Livros is reprinting the famous Spanish comic The Mercenary, now in a much better format than the last time it came out, by Barcelona artist Vicente Segrelles. Volume 1. They started the collection this year. Volume 1 for the people who want to start from the beginning, and Volume 10 for those that had the original 9 volumes from the previous publisher and now get to read the 10th story. So they started with 1 and 10, and from next year we'll probably see 2 and 3, maybe 4. Another famous series. These were co-published with a newspaper, Largo Winch. Double albums. So this one features the 9th and 10th books. Largo Winch had a TV series in Canada. And it's one of several successful series created by Belgian economist turned writer Jean Van Am. The art is by Frank. And the main character is a CEO against his will, because he inherited a large fortune in a large corporation. He still gets into adventures. That was 9-10, and this is the double album with books 11 and 12. There are a total of 11 books from this newspaper collection, featuring the 21 albums. Now, here's something interesting that I picked up. I couldn't get many books in French this year, but I did get this one, Adapting Moby Dick by Bill Sienkiewicz, in European format. So Sienkiewicz fans are bound to love this. I think Sienkiewicz was running wild here, because there isn't the narrative is not what's really important here. A lot of this is it's not so much the art is not so much telling the story. It's very conceptual, and they did learn how to draw whales. These are fantastic. They're perfect. Showing it a little bit closer so you can see Sienkiewicz drawing whales. Here's something else that's interesting, put out by Titan Comics. I think this is the first time in English that this comic exists, because this reprints inside the first actual Elric comic, which was not his appearances in Conan the Barbarian. A year before that, he appeared in a mini graphic novel that was created by Drouillet. Originally part of an audiovisual show. It was turned into a graphic novel, and it was published in 1970, I think, and it's here. Here it is, for the first time in English in this Titans graphic novel. Something else I still need to take out of the plastic. Another literary adaptation. I bought a lot of them. They're all the rage in Europe right now. Maybe they'll start becoming all the rage in the U. This will become the rage in the US pretty soon, because it's another literary adaptation by Georges Besse. That's a direct adaptation of Dracula by Bram Stoker. I showed the pixel art from the French edition last Wednesday on the 4-color fossils, but now it's in my hands. The real book, as you can see, it's thick. I've filmed the exhibit. The lighting was not very good, but I hope to put it up on my channel during the week. I filmed 4 exhibits. And now the Fiesta Resistance. I'm opening it here for the first time. The adaptation of Brodek's report by Philippe Clausel, made by Manu Larsenet, better known for doing stuff in a humorous style. Let's take the plastic out. So this holds the book. See? Here's the actual book in this format. 328 pages of story. This is the book that everybody was talking about in the festival, that everybody wanted to buy. A murder is committed in a small village, and the secretary Brodek, he is forced to write a police report in a way that hides what's going on. It would, and there are a couple. I don't know the last time they did one, but I think there are a few in print right now. Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. That'd be interesting to be near here. I'm not sure who would want to do that in France, but there are a few people who could probably do a good job of it. Let's see if I can show some art from Brodek's report. Does not fit well in the camera. This is very, very wide. So this is not an action comic, but there's the storytelling is pretty good. The sense of movement between panels. The use of negative space here is amazing. Considering this guy started doing humorous art in Fluide Glacial, this is completely different. And I think I'm going to love reading this. I have maybe a month where I'm gonna have to be paying attention to this. Okay, and I suppose this is it. These are all the comics that I bought. Still spent more money than I should have, and still there were comics that I wanted to buy and I didn't. Let me see if I can put this in here without damaging the cover. And here we are. Good. Okay, so what are we on? 20 minutes. Yeah, I think that was good. The festival is still going on until next weekend. A few books are only going to be presented to the public in the next weekend, which is the last one. The festival used to be 3 weekends, now it's only 2, which is better. Gets everything more compacted. Now it's easier for people to figure out when they want to go, because sometimes they want to meet up with friends and they want to make sure their favorite artist is there. So having 2 weekends to choose from is better. But I won't be going there next week. I'll be working. And during the week, I will be posting my 4 exhibit videos with me doing commentary. One of the exhibits was not as good as I was hoping it was, but I try to make it informative. All of the videos are small, between 3 and 6 minutes, so you can look at some art and not worry too much about me talking. All right, so glad to see the people who showed up. Howler Mouse was here, Comic Crack was here, Vincenzo C. Thank you for stopping by. I've already posted this in a few Facebook groups, and it was on Twitter, so I'm sure some people will stop by after I'm done. You can post a comment and like if you want to. And I'm very glad that you took the time to stop here, because really no superheroes anymore. Nobody bothers with superheroes right now in Portugal. And when I go to the comic shop to buy American originals, I'm no longer paying attention to Marvel and DC. So I'm going more pseudo-intellectual, let's say. Well, not really. This is actually fun. Yeah, let me spend all my money at the pyramids. They're not pyramids. They also have something pointy, but they're actually circles. So they're tits. The country of 1,000 tits. But only at the beach. Okay, thank you for stopping by once again, and I'll be signing off now. I bought a lot of comics that are reprints of old comics, and and if you missed out originally, that's the best way to get them, because they're in a new format that respects the original intent of the artist, that respects the importance that this comic has in the history of the medium. And I want to make sure that I keep buying these old comics, and you should too. You should keep reading old comics.